Yeah, welcome to the Watch Week, LVMH Watch Week, for the presentation of the novelties of Zenith. I know that you had an interview with Julien, so you have been pretty much already introduced to the novelties, but we can go a bit more in depth if you want, or if you have any questions. First of all, I don't know. Otherwise, I will maybe dive into the introduction of the novelties. I will, of course, spend a bit of time to explain you the Chronomaster Sport, which is the main launch of our year. First chapter of the launch of the relaunch or the refresh of the Chronomaster collection. The Chronomaster line is a very important line for us. It's really the legacy of our sporty chronograph. It's also a collection in which we are highlighting, of course, the El Primero movement. It's only dedicated to chronograph and to a sporty chronograph. And we are dropping here, I would say, the latest, the ultimate version of a modern and contemporary chronograph, the Chronomaster Sport. Why Sport? Because, I mean, for the name, I mean, because it's part of the legacy of over 5 decades, even more, of sporty chronograph that we have done over the decades. So that's why the name is called Chronomaster Sport. The Chronomaster name is quite impactful and important because it means the master of chronograph, and it's exactly what drove us and led us to land with this new Chronomaster Sport, the first chapter of the launch of the year, and there will be a second chapter coming for Watch and Wonders in April. So there will be another addition to the Chronomaster collection that you will discover a bit later on, which will be a more classical one. But here we are focusing our attention on the modern version of the Chronomaster, which is the Chronomaster Sport. First of all, I would like to come back. I don't know if Julien already showed you the legacy or the watches that really inspired us when we have been in the process of developing the Chronomaster collection. Everything was, I would say, already on our table, in our archives, in our patrimony. We did like a cherry picking of different ingredients over the models, these 6 models that inspired ourselves to create the Chronomaster Sport. Yes.
Julien spoke to us about those. What I'd be interested in knowing is, how did you decide because it's very hard to take different influences from different eras. How did you decide which ones you would choose?
The idea was to take these 6 model and take the very best of each and every one. And as I said, do a cherry picking on different influences, different design elements or languages that can be, I would say, as much powerful as possible for the future model. I would spend a bit of time to explain you where and why we did take these elements. So starting from the A386, the grandfather of them all, the first watch, one of basically the 3 watches, steel chronograph, that was equipped with the El Primero back in 1969, that was introduced in 1969 in the catalog, the official catalog of novelties of Zenith in 1969, the A386, which is already I would say, the main inspiration in terms of case shape, of course, but definitely also because it was bearing the tricolor subdials signature that everybody knows now. Mm-hmm. That was the first chronograph equipped with different colors encounters, already to, I mean, in the spirit of enhancing the legibility of the dial and the chronograph indication. So a lot of content in this watch, but also, as I said, the lug shape, the sharp lug shape, the pump style pushers of this watch was an inspiration. Then also we took inspiration here on the A277, which is a watch that was not equipped with the El Primero. So we were not only checking the models equipped with the El Primero, but also models from the pre-era of the El Primero, which is here a Calibre 146, which was a Martel movement that was equipping a lot of different chronograph back in the 50s. For example, Universal, but also Zenith at that time. Then we bought back Martel watch. It was belonging then to Zenith. So we have equipped a lot of different sporty chronograph, but also very elegant and dressy chronograph with this 146, but also some military oriented one like the Chronometro Tipo CP2, if you know this model. Here on this one, of course, we took the inspiration from one of the first black bezel, not ceramic bezel, but black bezel, and indication around the case, and especially the dots. You see the dots here that we have also took to get inspiration to add them to the ceramic bezel of the Chronomaster Sport. Then I'm moving on to another very important watches, sporty chronograph, but slightly more recent, the De Luca. The De Luca is corresponding to the same era when Rolex first introduced the Rolex equipped with an automatic movement back in 1988, equipped with the El Primero, of course. At that time, we also launched this De Luca, which is very much inspired from the look of the Daytona at that time. Also, there is a black bezel on it, so it's also coming from there. Here, especially, we took the inspiration from the bracelet. The bracelet is already a 3-handling bracelet with the central part polished and the external one, which are satin brushed. So this is the inspiration more for the bracelet. Then you have the Rainbow 1992. Once again, very sporty. Here, I would say the design element that attracts our attention was the fact that here on this one, they tried as much as they can to clean the dial, to make the chronograph as legible as possible by, I would say, adding an information that normally you could find on the dial, the tachymeter scale that could have been on the flange, but they have decided to put it on the external part of the case, on the bezel. So it's an engraving on the bezel, and that drove us also into the spirit of doing the same for the Chronomaster Sport and make the dial more legible. So the Rainbow is really I would say, the inspiration about the legibility of the chronograph functions for the Chronomaster Sport. Then, of course, more recently, the one that is already now got retired, the actual Chronomaster 38, which was already an interpretation back in 2010 of the 386, which you have really next to it, bearing of course, the tricolor subdial signature, the pump style pusher, the same kind of case, the actual case Chronomaster, which is also the same for the Chronomaster Sport. But also a very important fact, very important 2 elements, the indices and the hands. The hands and the indices are coming from there. 2010, so 11 years ago, we have redeveloped the shape and the style aesthetic of the indices and the hands, and we kept that for the Chronomaster Sport, but also, as you can see here, the date indication at 4:30, which is the original place of the date, also in the 386. And last but not least, also the Stratos, which is the one here with the rotating bezel, the first model equipped with a ceramic inner ring inside the rotating bezel. So we did some ceramic bezel already almost 10 years ago. The Stratos was equipping Felix Baumgartner when he did the jump from the stratosphere. And you can still find the 3 colors. You can still find the hands, the indices, even if they are slightly bigger, because the watch was bigger. It was a 45.5 millimeter chronograph, but very sporty at that time. So as I said, it's a very much a blend of all these ingredients that make us landed to the Chronomaster Sport. So now you can have a look, of course, at the Chronomaster Sport, on which I am sure you already have seen a lot of things, a lot of review, a lot of pictures. The noise around this watch is just unbelievable. It's colossal. We were expecting, I mean, we knew that we had, I would say, an atomic bomb in our hands, but not at that level. So I'm very proud. I'm very happy for the whole team and especially for the brand. I'm working for the brand since 15 years. So you cannot imagine how glad and happy I am to be dropping these watches that we have in mind since a while. But we just needed a bit of time to come with the right recipe and to come at the right time, at the right moment with I would say, the alignment of the stars. which is a good sign for a brand that has a star above his head. So yeah, here we are, the two steel on steel version, white dial, more faithful of course to the original models, and the black face, very sporty. And you can find all the different elements that we took into accounts and that I explained you over the last 5 minutes. Of course, the pump style pusher, the style of the case, the indices, the hands, the 3 color subdials, which are here applied, 3 different, I would say, counters applied on the dial. It's a black lacquered version and a white matte dial. And as you can see also, we cleaned a lot the dial to make it as legible as possible. And you find the tenths of a second scale at the very, very end of the dial on the flange, but definitely more on the ceramic bezel. So that's why this ceramic bezel is unique. Nobody has it, nobody can have it because it's belonging to the, I would say, the soul of the El Primero. Able to measure and display the tenths of a second. So we have decided to just, I would say, multiply the display of the El Primero. The revolution of the chronograph hands is faster than what everybody knows, everybody has in mind, 60-second revolution normally. Here it's a 10-second revolution that allow the watch, because of the movement, to display the tenths of a second, and in a very, I would say, intuitive manner, very legible. As soon as you really, I would say, if you want really to pay attention, if I'm just giving you an example of how you can measure a timing, just for you to have a concrete example, I'm starting the chronograph. Of course, the thunder mode is on. The revolution is really faster. It's striking, it's eye-catching, of course. So you have, to help you to understand how many revolutions the chronograph hands has made, you have the counter, the blue counters at 3 o'clock, okay? That is a 60-second counter that will help you to understand how many revolution the hands has made. If I'm stopping the chronograph hands anywhere here, the first things you have to do, sorry, I will just put it really in front of you. The first thing you have to do is to have a look at the blue counters. Okay, starting from the 12 at 12 o'clock, you start to count, and you have like 1, 2, 3, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. You know that you are in between 20 and 30 seconds. So you start to be at 20, and then you go back on the ceramic bezel and you start to count also 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds and 1/10. So it means 24 seconds and 1/10. Very easy, very intuitive. That's absolutely easy to understand. And it's a scale that everybody knows. It's a scale that is, I would say, a reference. The second, the tenths, the hundreds. This watch is beating at 5 hertz, 36,000 VPH. So it's not displaying or measuring the 1/6 or the 1/8 of a second, which is, I would say, just doesn't make sense in our opinion. That's a strong argument, at least for us.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah. It's a very easy and legible dial, so we're very proud and very happy. And all the different ingredients I told you are inside this watch. Once again, another thing I need to add is the updated movement, the new 3600 El Primero platform. It's a movement that we completely, I would say, rethought, reworked, but keeping in mind that we wanted to be as close as possible with the aesthetics, with the DNA, the distinctive feature. So it's still the same proportion as the actual El Primero 400 or the former 3019 PHC. It's a 30 millimeter diameter movement, 6.5 millimeter thick. So same proportion, same position for the barrel, same position for the escapements. We just allowed ourselves, I will just turn it, flip it, so I can show you.
That's a really beautiful movement.
It's a beautiful movement. It has the same spirit.
It really is.
Recognize it. We allowed ourselves to, of course, rework the finishings in a more modern way. We allowed ourselves to create a new oscillating weight. We allowed ourselves to blued the column wheel and make it bigger, more visible, more centrally located on the 6 and 12 axis. It's not covered anymore like you can see it on the former version of the El Primero. If I'm giving you just a comparison here, I will show you in a revival model. Also, I mean, this is the actual El Primero movement. If you put it side by side, you can see that the column wheel here at 12 is covered, and this is something that we wanted also to highlight on the new one. So the column wheel is bigger. It's really it was already blued, but we made it bigger, and we made it really centrally located at 12. One thing which is also quite impressive is that we have been able to extend the power reserve to 60 hours, but also displaying the tenths of a second, which is a technical prowess when you think that you need more energy to display the tenths. But still, we have been able, thanks to the mastery of high frequency over the last 5 decades, to be able to extend the power reserve to up to 60 hours, and even, I mean, a bit more than 60 hours. So we know that it's really a minimum of 60 hours. So it's very important. And the last thing, the only twist, I would say, the only thing that we allowed ourselves to do was to add the stop second mechanism. The stop second mechanism was not part of the, I would say, the brainstorming and the technical sheet at the beginning of the development in 1969. And this is something that we wanted to change. So we have added the stop second mechanism. And by doing so, we have been, I would say, it was a constraint for us to invert the crown sequence of the El Primero. So it's no more the time setting and then the dates. It's now the date and then the time setting and the stop second on the second position. Voila. So the El Primero is, I would say, joining the majority of the calibers on the market, on the segments, with the same kind of, I would say, sequence for the crown. So that's the only twist. And yeah, it's really a projection of the movement into the future for the next 50 years and even more possibly. So yeah, the idea was really to create our icons and icons for clients, for aficionados, but not only, because this watch has been we are working on this watch since more than 3 years. We have this one. I have this one in mind since more than 5, 6, 7 years. The idea was really to create a new benchmark and to really establish ourselves as one of the leaders, the main actors on the segment. I mean, we are not creating billions of watches a year, so we will not compete in terms of production against this guy, but at least at that level of price, with that value for money products, I mean, there's really, I would say, a lot of content. It's a hell of a watch compared to the big players, and I don't want to mention them.
So you've been with Zenith for quite a while. You were there when they discovered that they had all those patents they forgot about?
Yeah. I joined the company in 2006 with Thierry. So yeah, I've been through a lot of different era, a lot of different CEOs, a lot of different strategy. Especially when I'm looking back at these times, we made a lot of several trials on, especially on Chronomaster, to try to obtain the famous good recipe. We did so many variation, maybe too much, and I mean we also need to be honest and transparent. We did too much, and we just now have been able to find the right one. The ingredients were there. We just needed to create the right blend and to find the right cooker, or the guy who said, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you think it's a great product. Julien was that guy. I already, I would say, tried with the others. It wasn't successful, but at least with Julien, it was a home run. So I'm very glad. I'm very proud and very glad.
It's very, very good. It's an excellent collection. It's taken so much attention over the last 5 or 6 days.
Yeah,
so
it's
and it's good. I mean, for enthusiasts and collectors and so on, everybody likes Zenith, but it never, it's always not appreciated by everybody, right?
Yeah.
This can be a landmark watch.
I mean, this is. I mean, as soon as you discuss with people, with clients, but also with retailers, everybody loves Zenith. But at the end, we wanted the people to wear Zenith and to have them and to collect them.
Yeah.
No, but it's important. I mean, we are
Yes.
recognized already as a very good brand with a lot of history,
Yes.
a lot of content,
Yes.
a lot of storytelling, a very authentic manufacturer. But we deserve to be at the right place. We deserve to be at a higher level, and I'm very glad to see that people are now getting the attention to this one. I mean, we had to, I would say, create these kind of watches to get attention, but at least, I mean, even if it takes time at the end, if people can understand how, I would say, valuable is our offer, I'm absolutely delighted. I mean, it's the right time for us to shine and to rise and to take the place that we honestly, and I would say as legitimacy, we have the legitimacy to be there. And I mean,
Yes,
that's
definitely.
about it. That's a fact. That's it. Once again, it's transparent, it's honest, it's authentic. We are there. We were there. We have the chance to have a movement on which we are working since 52 years. Nobody can claim this. Nobody has in production a movement, and still in production a movement that is 52 years old. It's an old lady, but it's an old lady that is working so well. So yeah, we just wanted to give her or him, whatever, it's unisex, a refresh.
Yes.
Just
It's
now,
nice to see you enthusiastic about it, because when we were talking with Julian earlier, he said, well, 2021 is going to be a big year for you guys, because he said the target is supposed to be better than 2019. So I think you guys are off to a really quick start, a big start.
The ambition were high, and we knew we had a hot piece in our hands since we first got even the first drawings. I mean, I remember now 2 or 3 years ago when we first had I would say the drawings as we wanted to have them. We were like, okay, that's going to be something. Normally, we can expect something about it, but not as huge or colossal, or I don't know, not creating the earthquake that we have created in the watch community since 4 days. So yeah, that's very cool, and yeah, the ambitions are high, and but just because we need to take our position, we need to jump on the podium of the one that really stands out on the chronograph segment. So yeah, I am very enthusiastic. That's for sure.
No, you are. What's the point that made you realize, yeah, this is what we'd have now? Was there a particular thing? Was there a particular time?
I mean, I don't know. There's a part of a mystical part of it. You never know when you have something in our hands that will really create such a buzz, such a noise. But as soon as we did the first drawings, when we got the first prototype, and when we really, I mean, we did several works, and we tried with several different ingredients that I told you. But when we obtained this one, and we had this right proportion, this 41 millimeter, and we had the first, I would say, brass case that we have been able to put on the wrist and see the look of it, and we were like, oh God, that's going to be cool. But there's a part of magic. There's a part of mystical. Maybe there's something above that is. There's a god of watchmaking that now is maybe manifesting himself to help us. That's cool.
Amen. Yeah.
Amen.
That is awesome. that is very, very good. It's really nice to see you, having been there for what, 15 years or so, and now you're seeing it get the attention that it deserves. So that congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. No, I'm very glad for the brand, very glad for all the teams, for all the people who really, I mean, even the guy who are not now, I mean, not anymore with us within the company or left the company, but they all, I would say, had their stones to this wall or to this building, and yeah, even for the guy who have created the El Primero, these guys that Julien is always mentioning, the people who developed the El Primero, they are still alive, and we can still have discussion with them. And it's also a recognition for their work 52 years back, and yeah, that's just cool for the brand, and honestly, I think we deserve it. And it's not arrogant to say that. It's just that, I mean, and we are still tiny compared to the big ones. You know? I don't think we will even, I would say, knock their feet, but that's fine. If we can take at least 0.00001% of what they have of the cake, we're happy. We're happy. No, that's
Awesome.
yeah.
Wonderful conversation, man. Thank you so much. No,
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Our pleasure completely. It's a great way to end our day. I hope you have a great day too.
Do we have still time, or do you want me to introduce you the others? Or
yeah, sure. I love your El Primero stories.
I know the excitement, enthusiasm.
You have this awesome belief in this movement, and it really comes across because it's such an important movement, and people don't realize its history.
Exactly. No, I mean, that's something that really drives me to come at work and to have this exchange with the team and with the people, because we believe that the brand is so good and has so strong assets. So yeah, it's just cool to finally after a lot of attempts. But I mean, time will tell. We are, keeping our minds quite clear. Nothing has been done. We just dropped the watches on the market. But when you see the community, I would say, owning the watch just after 2 or 3 days and legitimate the watch and defending the watch, against all the haters or the people who just want to drop comments, debate, endless discussion around
haters.
Does it look like a Daytona? Come on. They don't own the sporty chronograph segment with the ceramic bezel on it. And as I said, we are quite tiny, and I'm sure that Jean-Fred, which I work with, will have a smile. I'm sure. So then in the Chronomaster line, which is, as I said, the big launch for us during that year, we have this Revival line, which we introduced in 2019. It's, really a line dedicated to recreation, reproduction, revival of the models from the past, starting, of course, from the focus around the El Primero model, the first one. We have introduced the A384 in 2019 on a ladder bracelet and on leather. The ladder bracelet came in early 2020. It became one of the bestsellers of the brand very, very fast. So it entered the top 3 bestsellers. We did also the 386 as a revival, and now we are dropping the 385, which is this super funky, cool gradient brown dial, which was the first for Zenith back in 1969, but most probably. And once again, transparently and honestly, in the most authentic and humble way possible. Most probably one of the first gradient dial, if it's not the first gradient dial of the industry, which also once again proved the innovative spirit of that guy who created the El Primero, the designer at that time, but also the dial manufacturer who have created this gradient dial. So we just wanted to highlight this watch, which is also a landmark and an icon. So. Yeah, available in the 37 tonneau shape steel case on metal or on leather. There will be, of course, many others to come in the future years. Mm-hmm. This is an unlimited version, so this is really available for anyone who wants to buy it. It's not limited edition. We are indeed creating some special edition around these revival lines, but they are twisted, or we allowed ourselves also to play around it, of course. It's a trend. We did some special edition, we did some twist or modern version, but we also wanted to have, I would say, current ones, unlimited, available for everyone. So that sits now next to the 384. You have the 385, and there will be some more in the coming years. Voila. And the last 2 ones that we are introducing, there's one Defy model with the El Primero 21 movement, which is another landmark in our lineup that will be also highlighted with the reveal of the 10s, because this one go even further. It's the 100th of a second, which also means that we are, I would say, mastering another fraction of time. I have to wind it up again because I used it so much that I have to wind it once again. So this
people ask me people ask me, how much care do you have to take when you wind your watch? I'm going to show them what you just did. Just wind it like crazy, and it's fine.
Yeah, you can go. The movement is really reliable. It's not fragile. This watch, I mean, as I said, we are working since 52 years, so we know how to handle this kind of movement and how to handle high frequency.
Good for you.
No, people are always, quite scared about. I'm always seeing discussion around the service, the interval of service for the El Primero, because it's an high frequency one. So do we need to lubricate it? Do we need to do more service? No, if the watch is working perfectly, then just keep it. Don't go to don't go and do a restoration or a service if the watch is working perfectly. We are buying back some El Primero models from 1969. They are still roaring like a kitten. So, don't be afraid. Just buy it. Don't try to find excuses not to buy the watch because you think high frequency will. Okay, so that's the first time we are introducing the El Primero 21 in a khaki green ceramic, I would say, dress. The El Primero 21, the Defy has been introduced in 2017. Over the last 3 years, Defy has been a huge, I would say, focus for us because it was also a new contemporary aesthetic that's broader our audience, and we needed to. We needed to have a more, I would say, a more modern icon and a new way of, I would say, a new collection to attract different people. So that's why we also created Defy, and it's a playground. It's a laboratory of ideas, of materials. And this one here is a perfect match with all the green colors, with khaki green ceramic colors, matching colorization of the movement, PVD coated movement. First time also introduced to the world a khaki green movement. We are playing a lot on frequencies. We are playing with the mechanical frequencies and playing with the visible frequencies, the spectrum of the visible, because our eyes can perceive colors thanks to frequencies. So that's why we are creating bridges with the mechanical frequencies of our movement, the technology of our movement, and the frequencies of the visible. So that's why we do colorized movement, just only about aesthetic, but also to create stories and to create this bridge between the frequencies. So voila, we need to stop, otherwise it's an endless discussion. I can be there for a while with you. Well, I hope you enjoy.
We did. Quick question.
Yeah.
Because of 2020, do you feel more? You're not pressured. Are you still pressured to produce as many watches as quickly, or are you able to take a bit more time?
We still have the same kind of capacity. As I said, we are quite tiny. We cannot, I would say, enhance or increase the production by 10,000 like overnight. It's impossible. We have been prepared to still have the same kind of capacity. We have been preparing this launch because we were prepared for 2020. We decided to postpone it because of the situation. The situation is not any better than it was in 2020, but we said, okay, we need to drop this one at the very beginning of 2021 to start it with a very positive signals and to give the chance to the watch to be as powerful as we can. We were not expecting that much. We had in the pipe a quantity. Definitely the demands will be more than that. We will face a capacity production. We will do as much as we can. We will deliver. Because the idea was, I will stop with the joke. Our idea was not to create waiting lists, honestly. So we do not want it to create this, but I think that we will face this. But at least you will not have to wait for 3 or 5 or even more years to get the chance to get your hands on the Chronomaster Sport.
That's a great line.
Voilà. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very, very much. It's been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Stay safe, guys. Ciao.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.